Welcome back, everybody. It is that time once again. Yes, it's another off-season here in College Football 25 with the Teambuilder Houma Bobcats. Year 3 was our best year yet. 8 wins to 5 losses, including a big bowl victory last episode to close out the season against the top 25 ranked Central Michigan Chippewas. We won that game 17-13, and that was our biggest win of the entire dynasty to this point. But now it's time to move into year 4 as we get into our third off season in this series. And I think we're going to have probably our best recruiting class yet. And I do think that our team is going to be even better than we were this past season. In his true freshman year, I think Stephen Breda proved that he is the go-to guy under center for us going into his true sophomore campaign. But Isaiah Power is a redshirt freshman going into year 2, and he has a much higher ceiling with very high skill caps on accuracy and IQ, which he is not close to reaching as of right now. We'll see what happens in the player progression and player training in this episode, but I do think that Isaiah Power could give Breda a run for his money because he has star development and he has a much higher ceiling. With that being said, I will be sticking with Breda until he shows me that he's not the guy to play quarterback for us anymore. On the ground, we're going to lose Terrence Middleton to graduation, but Karan Boyd is going to enter his redshirt senior year, and he was really good for us, but I think he needs more carries and more attempts per game to really have a bigger impact. Receiving-wise, most of our receiving core is returning, including CJ Nelson and Javon Moore, both entering their senior years. LaShawn Gray will be a true junior, and we'll have to just see how he progresses this offseason. But Tanner Millam is going to become a redshirt, or he is going to graduate, rather, in this offseason, this episode. So Trayon Bell will be coming in as likely our number 3 wide receiver for year 4. Defensively, we're going to lose a couple of players, but, you know, Coleman and Shaw were 2 good players for us. Court Shaw was the better one of the 2, and we're going to have to find a good replacement for Court Shaw. I think Odom can play that full-time linebacker role in pass coverage because he was our top tackler this year after all and played on most third downs. But we are going to have to find that guy over the middle to help stop the run. And we're still looking for that kind of second pass rusher. I'm really hoping that Draymond Gates, entering his redshirt junior year, can take one more step up and be that kind of 10 sack per year kind of a guy like we already have in Underwood. So let's see what happens there. I definitely want to force more turnovers, especially in pass coverage, because that was the weakest part of our defense compared to the rest of our conference. But I think our run defense was better this year. Not great, but it definitely was better. We had way more tackles for loss than our first 2 years, I think, combined maybe. So that was a big step up too. But let's go and dive into the players leaving phase and see exactly who is departing our program. Starting with JT Odom. He's looking to transfer away because of playing style. So if we lose him and Court Shaw, we have 2 holes over the middle in our defense, but we have a chance to persuade him. We'll use that here in a moment. We do lose our left tackle, Tariq Williams, to graduation. Same goes for Tanner Millam, Kobe Garland, Dustin Flint, Marquez Carty. So plenty of guys leaving our team, but it's nowhere near who we lost in our previous seasons. So we should be good for the most part going forward because we're only losing, I think, 5 to 6 starters overall. We're going to try to bring back JT Odom right now, and we have failed. So we're going to lose 2 linebackers, one of whom was our main pass coverage guy. So we're going to have to really think about the transfer portal in these next couple of weeks. In the transfer portal, we have no 4 stars at all that we meet deal breakers for or who want to transfer away to our school. So we're going to bring in some more 3 stars. And then I think going into year 4, this next class will probably be our first one where we can actually target multiple 4-star prospects. this portal is not going to be kind to us, man. We're going to have to rely on some of our young linebackers to progress well because we have no 4 stars or 3 stars interested whatsoever in transferring to Houma, which is a bit problematic because we just lost 2 starting caliber players at that position. There is Kyle McDaniel, who I think we just have to go after because he's the only 2-star that even is thinking about coming to our school out of Toledo. But he's not going to be like a starting caliber guy like Ford, Shaw, and Odom were. At outside linebacker, we have 3 guys, but they're all run stoppers, so no pass coverage guys available at all. But we're still going to bring in somebody, so it's going to be one of these guys. And we could bring in a guy from Texas State, one of our rivals in the conference. They won the Sun Belt the first 2 years after clobbering us in those first 2 matchups too. Or you could go after 2 linebackers out of Syracuse as well. McDaniel has 77 speed, 84 strength, decent pursuit. He will not be an upgrade over the guys who we lost, but we got to bring in a 5th player to potentially just get some playing. I mean, he's probably okay at this point in his sophomore year, entering his junior year. So hopefully he has progressed well on his own over in Toledo. So we will go ahead and just do contact friends and family and move on to those outside linebackers. Let's take a look at David Purvis. Solid speed, not a coverage guy at all, but it will help us out the run. We need just 1 more outside linebacker, and then we can just put a linebacker to the side here. Take a look at King Joseph Edwards. He's got better zone coverage and can also stop the run. Good acceleration, good hit power. I like him more than Purvis already. And then Moultrie Goddard has better zone coverage, but way lower speed, which is going to be a problem when you're in pursuit and in pass coverage. I think I'll target King Joseph Edwards instead. Transferring from Syracuse, so we will just kind of send the house and load up the points on him. We also have no 4 or 3-star corners that want to transfer to us either, so I'm not going to sign anybody else in the secondary at least, or at least at a corner, because there's nobody that we can bring in that's even above a 1-star. We do have a chance to bring in one of these 3-star edge rushers though, and I think we got to get somebody else that could just give us a spark in terms of pass rush. So we'll look at a couple of these power and speed archetype guys that have us in their top 8, and we will see who we like the most out of all of them. After scouting all of these like 7 or so players, it seems like these speed rusher guys don't have the best finesse moves, except for Dorian Combs, who has 88 and still has really solid strength, good acceleration, good tackle, solid play rec, and solid hit power. But the other guys all have less than 80, and the top power rusher guy has 88 power moves, 86 strength, so less strength than Dorian Combs. I think I'm going to target Combs, and that will probably be our only target here at defensive end. We're going to be battling most likely with Iowa State if they submit a scholarship offer. The only running back who wants to play for us is Kiki Newcomb, a receiving back who we still could use. Could be a useful player like we had a couple years ago. So let's go ahead and scout him. And this will probably be our last targeted player of this year's portal. Kind of a quiet year for us, I think. But he's got 90 speed, a couple of nice abilities, good, acceleration and agility as well as a pretty big one as well to change direction and things like that. So we're going to offer him a scholarship, and we'll just kind of use the rest of our points, but we can't even use all of our hours in this week. And we have secured a commitment from Dorian Combs to add to our potential pass rush going into year 4, and we are still first place for the other 3 players. We do end up getting Kyle McDaniel 1 week later, King Joseph Edwards, and Kiki Newcomb, so all 4 guys that we went after all join us, but Only 4 transfers this year. Going to be a quiet, transfer portal for us, probably for the only time in this dynasty. I expect things to change next year once we hopefully improve across the board and fix this pass defense. Now it's time for National Signing Day. We have a total class of 24 players in this class. We end up with the number 20, or not 20. We actually dropped down pretty far to 52. So a lot of other teams probably had a really good transfer portal. We end up not doing a whole lot, and not our best class compared to our past couple years, but still a lot of 3 stars, which means that in a couple years we'll have some pretty good, well-developed talent. Before we check the training results, guys, we have 60 coaching skill points to use, and we still cannot unlock any additional locked skill trees just yet. So might be saving some coach skill points for a while here. We also can't unlock Elite Recruiter for the recruiting archetype tree. We can't unlock the next one for Architect either, or even unlock this one at all. So we're going to have to wait to try to increase random skill caps for players. We have Tactician mostly done, but I guess we could use some points here. Might as well just do the cross-training thing for changing positions next off-season. But we have so many points left that we can't even spend on anything just yet. Now it's just time to focus on improving this team. And if we can win at 3 more bowl games, which will take 3 years potentially or longer, then we could use some strategist stuff as well. But long way to go for all of this. But now it's time for training results. How good will this team look entering year 4? Let's take a look. We went up to an 85 overall. We were like an 81 for the majority of our previous year. Grant Huff is going to be a dominant lineman, hopefully, at 90 with those tactician boosts. And redshirt freshman Dominic Maloney could potentially beat out Shakir Pounce for the starting job. So we have some really good options here at middle linebacker. This is going to be a really good option. A good problem to have, really, is to have guys who are battling for a starting job in a good way. Cole Kane is up to an 85 true overall. He's going to have to start at right guard over whoever I moved there. I think it was Frank Bad News or somebody else. I think he's going to potentially be our starting right guard now. DJ Dean goes up. Frank Bad News also really improves entering his redshirt sophomore year. So we have a lot of depth now on the interior of this offensive line. J.R. Lehan continues to improve. He now has 4 total abilities. Ben Laney will be our starting left outside linebacker for sure. Juan Bolden, now a senior impact player, is now up to 83 overall. We'll have to really check those ratings and stuff. He's got 90 speed, one of our faster defensive players. Rada goes up to a 79 and an 84 with the tactician boost. So he probably has reached his skill caps. We'll check that in a moment. Actually, why not check it right now? Steven Breda, normal developments, and he is essentially capped out as maybe 1 more year to go for the accuracy boosting. But at an 84, this is a big step up compared to last year. He should be a whole lot better. After him, you've got Draymond Gates up to an 84. He was our second or third best pass rusher in terms of those sacks last year. And it looks like he now has 95 finesse moves. He's going to need to start, I think, at that position. Gallimore and Isaiah Power both improved. Isaiah Power, though, not a lot of improvement here despite having star developments. Accuracy and IQ still a long way to go. I think Breda is definitely the guy for us at quarterback, and Power can now become that third stringer behind Jason Gallimore. We'll look at the freshman players once we get into the preseason and check their traits and whatnot. Karan Boyd, now at 83 overall, he'll be backed up by Kiki Newcomb most likely. We don't really have too much power at all in this running back room, but I think Karan Boyd will be really good for us this next year. At receiver, Javon Moore kind of overtakes Nelson as potentially our number one guy with now 93 speed, more speed than Nelson has. But Scooter Page is going to return to our top three as he has a higher rating than Trayon Bell does. Both guys are, kind of utility wideouts. And Scooter Page played for us back in year one, and now he's back as a redshirt senior to get a lot of playing time. So we'll see what he can do for us in this next season. Now we kind of have a three-way battle for the starting tight end. I think I still like LaShawn Gray over Maverick Bentley and Miles Springer, so he will likely keep that starting job as a true junior. But then you've got redshirt freshman Reggie Reese, who is up to a 75 and still has 4 more years left to give his school. At left tackle, Crowder is essentially where he was to end year 3, so not a lot of improvements there, but the interior looks a lot better. Even Eric Paulding went up by several overall points, but Grant Huff is going to be huge for us as a pass-protecting left guard. Keon Robertson, he'll be our starting center, but if he does not play well, we could bring in somebody else. He barely improved this past offseason. But right guard, we have a battle between 2, perhaps 3 players, but Cole Kane, with really good pass blocking skills, is going to really help Breda get the ball out in plenty of time, I think, and just give us more time in the pocket, not have to evade pressure as often. And at right tackle, Reggie Cole had a massive improvement. He was a really big question mark, but now I think he probably deserves a second shot as the starter at right tackle with, really good run blocking skills. Could really help out Karan Boyd run between the tackles. He won't be the best finesse pass blocker, but we'll see what he can do in the first couple weeks and then decide from there if he should really be our starter going forward. So this offensive line, perhaps the most improved area of the team, but we'll have to look through our defense now to see if anything big changed over there. James Couch-Smith is our top left in it at a 79 true overall with good power moves. And we have 2 guys battling for the starting job at right end, potentially also with Dorian Combs. John Decker IV, who played a lot last year. He was on the field quite a bit, especially in nickel and dime packages. And he's at 83 overall with those boosts. So is Keelan Byard, who we recruited 2 years ago. So both guys 83, both guys really good power moves. And Decker also has really good finesse moves. He's just kind of an overall guy with better block shedding too, so I think he probably should start over both Byard and Dorian Combs, who is more of a finesse rusher only. So Decker definitely improves. A lot of power there too, just in general. So we're getting a pretty good idea of who our starting lineup is going to look like here on defense, at least on this defensive line. We will have Dean and Cade Bloom return as the starting defensive tackles, but now you have a lot of really good depth. Tevin Hippenhammer, who we got a couple years back in our first recruiting class, is really improved now with really good play rec, good power moves, good finesse. Same goes for Finaus to Odo. Both guys, potentially starting caliber. Just kind of depends what happens the rest of the way. So this defensive line is looking much, much improved. And then outside linebacker on the left side, Esteban Rizzo now up to an 82 overall as a redshirt sophomore, but Ben Laney is the go-to guy here with that 84 speed. Just a very quick guy with great play rec already, and 99 hit power. He can definitely draw the ball loose, force a couple of fumbles. With that block shed too, is going to be a really good run stopper and a pretty decent overall pass rusher as well. So with decent zone coverage there as well, I think he's kind of a gadget linebacker for us. He's going to be on the field quite a bit as a starter. And then, of course, middle linebacker. I thought Elijah Greenwood would have more to say here, but I think it's definitely between Shakir Pounds and Dominic Maloney, one of whom is a true junior, the other a redshirt freshman. Who matters more? Depends on the skill caps. Impact depth here for Maloney, and he still has pass coverage to work on, but is maxed out on power, run stopping, and quickness, but still, he's not done improving. He'll probably be like an 85 or 86 by the time that he is reaching those skill caps. Shakir Pounds with impact dev also is nearly fully capped out. So I think you might want to start Maloney over Shakir Pounds. This depends on what you want to prioritize more. Do you want to prioritize Maloney getting playing time as the same overall and getting more improvements as the year goes on, or do you want Shakir Pounds to get that full-time starting job? The difference here is their speed is, with Maloney 8 points or 9 points higher. That is really good speed, really good for pursuit and run stopping ability. That automatically makes me think that he's the better guy. He has better tackling as well. Pounds has way better play rec, which would be way more helpful in terms of like zone coverage and pass coverage. Maloney, though, has really good block shedding skills, better finesse moves. Pursuit's pretty similar, and Pounds is a much better coverage guy, so Pounds might be better utilized as that third down linebacker instead of Maloney been out there. So kind of a JT Odom kind of a role for Shakir Pounds, it seems like, going into his junior season. And then at right outside linebacker, Draymond Gates and Underwood both kind of battling for that spot. They were out there plenty this past year. Now, who's better? Underwood has better speed and better awareness, better play rec. But Gates has better hit power, better block shed, better power moves, and a way better finesse moves. So he might overtake Underwood as that #1 pass rusher, but Underwood had 10.5 last year. I think he still deserves playing time because of that. But Gates just seems to be better ratings-wise across the board thanks to his improvements this past offseason. And now at corner, I do expect Dakota Mills to still be the #5 corner because we got some pretty good improvements for Randall Glenn and Marvin Holland. Their speed is still kind of a concern, but Malik Moon and Bolden both improving is going to really help us out, I think. Speed still not great for those starters, but really good man coverage for every player except for Jermaine Heaney, who's not going to see the field all that much. Zone coverage is perfect for Dakota Mills and Glenn, so that would help us out. So is Holland. So we got several guys that can play zone coverage. Malik Moon is a great all-around corner. Bolden is way better in man than zone, but we have a much improved secondary here, I believe, entering this next year. Good catching skills as well for guys like Quan Bolden and DeMarvin Holland, who were on the field quite a lot this past year. And then at free safety, this is probably going to be our biggest area of concern. In place of the graduating Jordan Coleman, we have Hunter Haynes as our top-rated player at a 76 with those boosts as a redshirt senior. 88 speed. Decent play rec, but the coverage skills leave a lot to be desired. So him and Kingsley Reese kind of battling for the starting job. I think Haynes is the guy with that speed and the slight boost in zone coverage, but we're going to have to really think about somebody else to take over that starting job at some point through the year. But Lehan will come in as the starting strong safety once again over Devin Frazier. He's going to be like an 85 overall now. He was really good last year, had a big boost between year 2 and year 3. Now he's got 95 zone coverage. Man coverage, though, is pretty poor. We saw that in that last game, in the bowl game, or the last game against Louisiana, actually, where he gave a couple of big touchdowns against Hunter Marion, or whatever his name was. So zone coverage, definitely his like main archetype here, but catching skills are about as high as possible. So we'll see if he can give us some better coverage overall. I hope he can, because he was everywhere on the field. He was one of our top tacklers this past year, and that's pretty much your entire lineup. George Lincoln stays the exact same, so he was pretty solid for us most of last year. Our punter, not great, but you know what? I'm not concerned. We brought in way too many players. We have to ask 12 guys to transfer away now. So we got some tough choices to make here. I think our quarterback room needs at least 5 players, in my opinion. Running back, though, I doubt Mo Awasika sees the field that much. That low speed is definitely kind of a concern for us with that poor strength as well. So we're going to ask him to transfer away. We've seen Teague way more, and I think he's been solid when he's played. So we're going to ask Ty Hardy to transfer away instead. They're both seniors anyway, so not really a big deal. Gotta ask at least 2 guys here to go away. So that will probably include George DeLuca, who is a redshirt sophomore. And we can kind of rely on these juniors to enter next year as the potential starting lineup alongside Roland Hasty and Howie Mann, who hopefully both kind of improve after their true freshman and sophomore seasons. Left tackle, though, I'm going to ask Cordell Holdman to transfer away. Cameron Hyde is not going to be worth having on this team. A 63 overall is not going to be worth anything to me. We could ask Ellis Berry to transfer away as a redshirt junior and rely on Decker and Bayard and Dorian Combs next year as the right end starters. So we'll ask him to transfer. Maybe it's worth asking Chuck Madden instead, who is way lower than Greenwood. Greenwood could become a just good depth piece for us if somebody gets hurt. So I'm going to ask Chuck Madden to transfer away. He's barely improved, and we have guys that are true freshmen that are around his level of overall. So we'll ask him to transfer. Nix has the highest zone coverage. Donnie Gesser has the lowest zone coverage of the 3. And man coverage, it's the highest for Donnie Gesser, the lowest for Jermaine Heaney. Heaney didn't have the best zone coverage. I think I'll ask him to transfer as well. And we can hopefully just bring in a couple of transfer corners if we really do improve the secondary in year 4. Maybe one more receiver is going to have to go, and that will probably be CJ Peaks, who's got 85 speed. So we'll ask him to go away. And we got 3 left. Maybe we just ask Jason Dial, who is a 65 overall, as a redshirt freshman. Probably has a low ceiling. We'll ask him to go elsewhere. And now 2 spots left. Got to keep this offensive line together. I think I will end up asking Colin Murphy to transfer. And 1 more player. Probably KJ Hartley as a redshirt junior. We have plenty of linebackers that can give us playing time. I think he's going to have to go elsewhere. Our year 4 schedule looks like this. We open year 4 against Georgia Tech. Then we go back home to face Memphis in the rival game. Then we go back on the road to College Station to face Texas A&M. Very tough game for us. We face JMU in back-to-back years. We face Georgia State back at home. We go back on the road to face Middle Tennessee State, and then Troy, and then Texas State, UL Monroe, Southern Miss, South Alabama, and of course, Louisiana once again, this time on our turf to close the year, just like in year 3. Not going to focus on the upcoming recruiting board just yet, but here's an idea of who we have to replace entering this next season. We got pretty much 1 offensive line spot across the entire line, 1 tight end, 4 receivers, 3 running backs, so a lot of offense here, and then 3 corners, 2 free safeties, 1 outside linebacker, 1 middle linebacker, 1 defensive tackle, and 1 left end. And probably want to go after a better punter this year as well, but 22 needs in total. I will go over some prospects once we learn some more after week 1. And side note, there are 4-star prospects that have left the door open for us to recruit them, including Nick Bonea, who has us in his top 10 as a strong safety, so could potentially just move him to free safety and bring him in as a really good long-term option. So we could bring in a couple of 4-star recruits this year. And this will be our depth chart to begin our 4th season. Stephen Breda as the true sophomore starting quarterback. Karan Boyd as the running back over Newcomb, who's going to be his backup, and we'll get plenty of playing time as well. We'll have Vincent Tandy as the fullback. At receiver, Javon Moore, Nelson, and Scooter Page, your top 3, followed by Trayon Bell at the 4. LaShawn Gray returns as the starting tight end once again, but Miles Springer back into our lineup as more of a blocking kind of a guy in place of Maverick Bentley, who I'm hoping we can potentially redshirt as a true senior, but he might be on the field every game and just might not have a chance to do that this year. We'll have Isaiah Crowder at left tackle, Grant Huff at left guard, Robertson as the center, Cole Kane as the right guard, and Reggie Cole returning as the starting right tackle. For the defensive line, you got James Couch-Smith as the starting left end, John Decker IV as the starting right end. Defensive tackle, both guys return to starters, DJ Dean and Cade Bloom. Welcome back to those big fellas. We got Ben Laney as the starting left outside linebacker, backed up by King Joseph Edwards. Middle linebacker, Dominic Maloney over Shakir Pounds. And right outside linebacker, Draymond Gates over Underwood. But I will try to put him in there plenty of times a game to get him some playing time. At corner, we'll have Juan Bolden, Malik Moon, DeMarvin Holland, Randall Glenn, Dakota Mills. Same 5 guys that we had last year. Some guys have improved, hoping for the pass rush to help these guys out this year. We'll have Hunter Haynes begin the year as the starting free safety, but again, I'm open to adjusting that as we see fit. And then Lehan returns as the strong safety, George Lincoln as our kicker, Nick Andrade as our punter. Nelson will return both kicks and punts, and we will have Boyd be kind of the overall full-time running back, but again, Newcomb will be out there to spell him a lot, and Cameron Teague actually has plenty more power than either other running back does, so he will actually see the field quite a bit in those, I formation kind of packages. We'll have Nelson be our slot receiver, and we'll have Draymond Gates be the rush left end, Edwards be the rush right end, and Dorian Combs as the rush defensive tackle over Dean and Bloom. But Dean could still fill that role. That's where he played last year as well. So we'll see about how that works, because Combs is quite smaller compared to Dean and Bloom. And we'll have Shakir Pounds, as we discussed, being the kind of third down sub linebacker for pass coverage. And finally, Malik Moon will be the starting slot corner. And one last thing, what are the depth traits and skill caps for the guys that we recruited this year? Tyler Griggs, impact development, and still plenty of things to work on, mainly accuracy and IQ. For Tyquan Keenan, impact development, and still things to work on in terms of elusiveness, accuracy nearly capped out, IQ and quickness not so much. At running back, Tyrone Myslinski has star development, and still plenty of things to improve upon. He will be like an 80 plus overall, most likely by the time he is done improving. We've also got Tyreek Mulligan, who's got impact development and pretty similar skill caps for the most part. At receiver, we've got a star dev player in Roland Hasty, who was one of those gems that we had recruited, and this guy could be a potential star receiver in 1 to 2 seasons. Just give it some time, and he will be a really good route runner and a really reliable guy out there for Steven Breda or whoever is in the pocket going forward. You've also got Howie Mann, who's got normal developments and is honestly close to being capped out. At left tackle, Larry Marcock has normal developments and needs to work on pass blocking for sure. Skill caps across the board are, pretty low, unfortunately for him. Robert Hajrulahu is our 3rd star dev player in the class, and he could be another dominant offensive lineman with very high skill caps, which means that he has a very bright future ahead of him. John Rabe has impact developments and has pretty solid skill caps too. They're not great, but they're not bad either, and he'll be probably like a mid-70s, low 80s potential player in a couple of seasons. Chuck Gato was one of our top defensive line prospects, and he has normal development, and the skill caps don't look too great for him, so don't expect a lot. He's just like a starting caliber worthy player if he reaches those full skill caps. And then we've got Greg Gibbs at a 71 overall, normal development, and worse skill caps. Impact depth trait for Garrison Colclough, and his skill caps look pretty comparable to Chuck Gato, so not overly concerned with him. He's already at a pretty good level with the tactician boosting. And then Marquez Sermons, normal development, and the skill caps aren't the best, not the worst either, but, still things to work on. One of our linebackers, Mike Surratt, has impact depth trait after being moved to left outside linebacker, and for some reason his ratings are undefined, so we can't even see. Kyle Parker was a gem 3-star with impact development trait, and his skill caps, I think, leave a lot to be desired, but can still be a solid starter. Oh, here we go. Jaquez Michelle, elite dev, the first of the class, and he has some of the best skill caps on the team. So he will be a star linebacker. Just give it a couple of years, and he will be a guy to remember, hopefully, in this entire dynasty. And then we have Terry Boyette, the last freshman linebacker. Star development for him, but the skill caps are not great for him at all. At safety, Ray Brooks has normal development, and his skill caps are definitely pretty low than what I was expecting for him, so that's not great. And behind him, you've got Damian G, who is one of our top players that we brought in, impact developments and better skill caps compared to Brooks. The last freshman is strong safety Vince Pike, and he's got normal developments and pretty low skill caps. That's not great. But we had a couple of standout players. Jaquez Michelle definitely seems like that kind of defense-changing player, so once he goes through his redshirt year and improves over the course of maybe 1 or 2 potential off seasons, I think he's going to be a multi-year starter for this defense. Hopefully for 3+ years. We'll just have to see, what kind of progression he gets in next year's off season. So coming off that bowl-winning season, guys, that 8-win season, we enter year 4 once again with a coach goal of 4 wins, but my goal now is to reach 8 and potentially go for upwards of 10 and hopefully potentially make the Sun Belt Conference Championship game and get revenge on the Raging Cajuns. So, our year is going to start next episode against Georgia Tech on the road. It's going to be a tough game against, I think, a much better school than we are in terms of the star rating, but that will be a really fun game to watch, and I can't wait to see what this team looks like in their year 4 debut. An 85 overall. I think we have to expect bigger and better things compared to year 3. So I'm hype. I hope you guys are too. We have so many good playmakers now on this team on both sides of the ball. A better offensive line, better defenders, better linebackers. And I think we are primed for our best year yet in this dynasty, guys. Thanks for watching as always. I'll see y'all next time. Please like the video, subscribe if you're new, leave a feedback, and comment down below. And I will see y'all next time. Have a great day.